Okay, today I'm making pumpkins, and I make mine in two pieces instead of trying to throw one piece with the stem part of the original pumpkin. I just find that they look the way I want them to look that way. So that's how I do them. I'm going to show you how I do them. Probably be like a 3-part video. First one is a pumpkin, second one will be the stem, and of course the third one is just putting the stem on the pumpkin. So anyway, here we go. I've got 2 pounds of Laguna speckled brown clay here. Just the color I want the clay to be, so nothing special about that. It's already centered here pretty well. I guess we'll find out how centered it is. And make sure the bottom of this is not too thick, and it is. There we go. So we just open it out like we're opening a cylinder. This bat is not quite flat, so I keep losing the center on my clay. What you have to do is just keep putting it back on center, if you can. All right. So we're throwing our cylinder, and we're leaving the top third, maybe just about the third of it. It's a little bit heavier up here so I can close it in more. I don't know if you can see that go off center when I get down on the bat. Cylinder is way off. But we're making pumpkins, so nothing in nature is perfectly flat. Ooh, it's also very thin down there. Stiffen it up a little bit with a rib. There we go. Hopefully we can save this. Calling that top in because we got to get that top part thrown in tighter. So raising it up and thinning it out. This is going to be a kind of a small pumpkin based on the fact I can't get the pot to center. You get a lot of the moisture out of the inside. Okay. See if I can open it out a little bit without losing it. That's going to be about it because it is really munged up on the bottom. So what we're going to do is get the water out of the inside. And I found this tool a long time ago. It's a little trimming tool. Yeah, really, I use it quite a bit. It's right back under that bottom, and since you're not going to be able to trim these after the fact, that works perfect on there. Now our pot's off center again because I got down on the rim, or on the bat. So we're just going to have to work with it, what we've got. I take a metal rib here and kind of define the lower 2/3 of this into the pumpkin shape. All right. Now what we're going to do, whoops, got all the slip off, then turn and put it all back on again. All right, you take your handy dandy torch here. It just kind of sets bottom up, and especially since this thing is wonky anyway. Try and trim that top rim off. Hopefully that'll help keep it on center. Top's on center. It's the down there at the back that if I go back down there, I'm going to be in big trouble again. What I'm doing is kind of pinching on the inside, using my thumb on the outside, 2 fingers on the outside, and then I've got a finger on the inside that's guiding the whole batch of clay I'm bringing in. Keep having to remove bits and pieces of the rim though, because she's not wanting to cooperate. I guess the lesson learned here is that if your bat's not level, you should go get one that is. Okay, so now I'm going to use the base of a trimming needle on the inside and get this thing so I can close it up. I don't know if you can see that, but the top's all but closed. There it is, it's all sealed off. So now we've got a rubber, kind of like a balloon sitting here. And it's kind of a flattened out shape. But we can do anything we want with it pretty much now. So I can bring it back up and get a more round pumpkin shape. So you're pretty happy with the pumpkin shape. Now we start manipulating this thing so that it looks more like a gourd. I meant to go get a pumpkin so I could make this exactly right, but of course I didn't get around to doing that. So anyway, I usually put 8 segments in my pumpkin, and what I'm using is the base of this trimming needle, and I just divide the pumpkin into quarters, wet the needle base handle, and just kind of bring it up and over, and then divide each one of those in half. And there's the base of the pumpkin. So then, since this is sealed up, you can, if you take your wet finger, you can just kind of push that segment of the pumpkin in. Let me try and move this closer so you get a better view of what. See if I can get my tripod moved without making you too sick. Way too much stuff in here. All right, let's see. Are we still there? There we go. All right, so wet your finger and kind of rock it back and forth on the segments, and it will. You guys are probably wondering what kind of bat this is. I made this bat system for small pieces. There is a video in my library that shows you how I made it. But it's just this is a little tempered masonite bat that sits inside. This is a cutout for, or made out of a cutout for mica countertop, the sink cutout. You can pick them up real cheap, and the cutouts anyway. And then the masonite's tempered masonite, so you got to cut the circles out of that. Okay, so and I'm using, a fair amount of pressure, but you can see this whole thing is flexing, and you just keep working your pieces in, segments in, until you're happy with pretty much the pumpkin shape. And since this clay has quite a bit of grog in it, and that's not really necessary to make a pumpkin, but since it has so much grog in it, I don't want to see the grog on the surface, so I'm trying not to use a sponge in the cleanup of this thing. So what I do is I just leave it as is, and I'll take a paintbrush, use these bamboo brushes. When it's all done, I'll kind of flip back and forth across there and remove all of the lines that are on it. Now, final step, at least the final step that I do, is you got to let air back into your pumpkin. So I poke a little hole up here at the top, because we're going to put our stem right on there. And then I give this thing the spin, like the highest spin I can get my wheel to do, and it kind of expands the sides out. It's minimal, but it does make these old bulbs more symmetrical. Then is take my finger and dent the top a little bit so that the stem has somewhere to set. So we've got a pumpkin, and I cut it off of the bat, and I let it set up overnight, and then we attach the stem that I make separately. So that's it. That's how those come off. There's a pin. There's 2 pins inside this bat, and there's 2 adjacent pinholes. So there's our pumpkin. Kind of heavy because this one's not very big, but that's how I make them. If you have any questions, Put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.